Hello and welcome to the I Love You Bet podcast. I'm Heather and this is my sister,
Rian. Each week we will revisit relics of our childhoods using our multiple master's degrees
to critically evaluate the crap that consumed our misspent youth. So join us,
sisters, latchkey kids, cuspers, and lazy feminists as we look back at our past to say, I love you, but... So I wasted time this week sleeping. You're very bright. Oh, you're on your screen.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to do some more research on Laverne Shirley real fast. Special Galentine's episode. We'll get into that. Galentine's Day. The holiday is real. Best friend is a tear.
I prefer Palentines. Can we let's just start off by being contrary?
I mean, if you want to do Palentine's, could we have Galentine's and Palentines and Valentines?
We just all admit that it's all bullshit.
Yeah. How about we just call it Valentine's Day and it could be for anybody, any kind of love.
There we go. Because I actually dislike all of it.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about it because the Super Bowl is today and the Super Bowl that we're recording today. And I was like, oh, it's a made up food holiday. Then I was like, crap, there's another made up food holiday this week. Why are there so many made up food holidays? I don't like it.
Yeah. I was like, so they at work on Friday, they did like a Super Bowl party and like ordered pizza and everybody brought food. I didn't bring anything, but I definitely went down there and got food. And I was like,
how did it feel to be a dude for a day?
To like just, oh yeah, I know. I do that a lot. I a lot. Well, because like not our admin team, but like our office, like the people that work in the front office, the administrative.
Yeah, the
office,
administrative staff. Yep.
Yeah, the staff this year have really amped up how often, and so I definitely don't always bring something. So even when it's a competition, which I'm very proud of myself for that.
Good job.
Because I love a competition.
I do.
But yeah, no, it felt good. But yeah, I was telling multiple people, I was like, I will never give a fuck. I don't care about a halftime show. I don't care about commercials. I sure as shit don't care about football. I really don't give a fuck about Taylor Swift and her boyfriend. It's really just about the food.
Yeah.
So, but I was supposed to go to a Super Bowl party today, and I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of relieved it got canceled.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, because it got canceled because so my friend Lainey, and she hadn't been feeling well, and she woke up this morning. It wasn't like it was just like a small thing.
Yeah.
And she still feels like crap, and she's like 7 months pregnant. So I was like,
no. Yeah.
So, like, because there's no way I would control myself. And I would just be like, mom, 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 which is fine.
Yeah.
But if I can avoid a situation to be mama, all the better.
Yes.
Totally
No.
No.
You do realize that I gave that Cookie Monster bug to your child, right?
Yeah, I know. And if he saw me using it, he would be very mad. But my other coffee mugs are dirty, and he's not here.
I figured out a way to get rid of aggressive salespeople this week.
Oh, okay. How?
Start crying.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, this dude came by and he was like, hey, of course they took advantage of the fact that Frontier was out for 2 days in our neighborhood. Now, granted, it was out the 2 days that I was in Dallas last week, so it didn't affect me at all. So he was like doing a real, like he tried like every tactic and he just kept going. And I got to a point and he was like, look, it's just 30 days. You just try it out if you don't like it. And it was like, in my head, all I could think was like, I don't need another thing that I have to remember in 30 days to make a decision about something and take action. Like, I can't have another thing. And I was like, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't walk away from here, I'm going to start crying. And he had literally just said, I mean, you're going to have my personal cell phone number. I'm going to take care of you. And that man started walking backwards so fast. As soon as I started crying, he was out. Like,
Yeah.
gone. So yeah, no, it was a
It
rough
takes a
week.
special person to be a salesperson. Like,
Hmm.
it is not me.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
yeah. Like, the first time someone tells me no, I'm like, cool.
yeah,
Yeah. Like, I would suck at it.
exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, it's like,
Um,
and I hate it when they're like, I'm trying to do you a favor. And I'm like, ultimately, you're really not. Like, you're not trying to do me a favor. Like, if you're
you
trying to
don't
do
know
me,
me.
if you want to do me a
Yeah.
favor, could you go talk to my uncle who is finally in the grumpy
No, because
stage?
he would buy whatever it was they were selling.
True. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I assume that's how Eddie ended up with Google Internet and with Spectrum. Somebody came by the house and gave him a sale, and he was like, yeah. And so for then months, he was paying for two internet services, which I don't want to end up doing because I'm very at my limit right now and
Well, they
very,
have that app you can pay for that tells you when you're paying for something you're not using, or yeah. Well done. So that's good. I just don't answer my door.
I mean, it was one of those, it could be, you know,
Yeah, no.
there's,
You live in a different world.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't have people, like, my neighbors don't just drop by, and if they do, I don't want to talk to them. So,
Yeah, like I mean, Wendy came by last weekend because she wanted me to write down an affidavit that I have seen her living with her husband because she has to go to court. Because he's from Nicaragua and they have to prove that the marriage is legitimate. I was like,
uh,
yes, I see them doing yard work together, and he takes out the bins. She said that her mother wrote, I know that he lives here because they sit in the other room and play video games and curse at each other. I was like, that's the best. I don't know if they're in love, but he definitely lives here.
yeah, it definitely sounds like a real marriage to me.
Yeah, so when people knock on the door here, we answer because you never know what's going to happen.
Well, I had the police recommend that I don't answer my door, so
Yeah, no, you live in a very different neighborhood than I do.
I know. Or, like, maybe don't answer the door if you don't know someone's coming over. If you haven't invited anyone over. Okay, well, fine. Because I grew up in your neighborhood, not in that neighborhood, not in my neighborhood, in a
Yeah,
neighborhood like mine.
yeah.
So we're learning.
No, it's fine. Um, there's something else. Oh, I learned that I'm probably gonna have to stop taking Manjaro because my eyesight when I went to get it checked was very bad. Very, very, very bad. And it's like the eye
Oh,
that's usually the strong eye has taken a sharp decline. And
oh
that's one of the side
no.
effects. So yeah. So that was an $1,100 day. Um, yeah,
I love our healthcare system. I love
yeah.
our healthcare system.
Yeah, I mean, it's partially my fault because last year was the first year I got progressives, and I told myself sign up for eye insurance, and then I didn't do it. So I just need to do it this year.
Oh, you don't have eye insurance?
No. I mean, like my
Uh
basic exam is covered through my regular insurance, but I don't have supplemental eye insurance. Like,
oh, okay.
you
I
know,
think I have supplemental eye
partially
insurance,
because I
but
feel like our eyeballs and our teeth should be covered by insurance, but
oh
you
my
know.
god, yes, they are all part of our body. Like, it's all fucking connected. Jesus Christ.
It's bullshit.
Such absolute fucking bullshit. Like, tell me you know you're living in a capitalistic society. Like,
Yeah.
oh, your eyes are separate. Like,
The
I mean, I swear to
hell
God,
they
one day it's
are.
gonna be like, yeah, and be like, oh, your feet are separate. You gotta have foot insurance and knee insurance and like fucking mental health insurance. Like, I swear we're gonna have to have separate mental health insurance
I'm
one
surprised
day.
that they're even covering mental health. I think only because of COVID. Like, I feel like that's the only reason they were like, oh, we better do something.
So, I mean, anyways, the
No,
people
it's
who
okay.
listen to us know. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna change
I
anyone's.
figured it out. I spend $675 a month on non-Western, like non-covered between one chiropractic visit to decompress my spine. So that is
Yeah,
preventative massage because of pain, which I
yeah.
have from stress. And I have to go, if I do not go to the acupuncturist every week right now, I'm in pain And none of that is covered by insurance. None of it. And it's all
Mm.
like, why not? I'm not like all of that is to keep me off of fucking hardcore medication for pains, which is going to ruin me on the inside. Like,
Yeah, because the medical companies own our insurance companies. The medical companies want, it's the same thing. It's like the medicine that, so I'm supposed to be taking Vyvanse now. Well, the generic is like $230 a month. So the regular one, and that's with insurance.
yeah.
And so the regular is like 500 something dollars. And it's absolute bullshit. And it's like, if taking that medicine keeps me from, you know what I mean? Like it helps me live my life,
Yeah.
and be healthy and it's just so stupid. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's because the fucking pharmaceutical companies own everything. Like everyone's like, so that was one thing at that, like when I was getting food and some people were talking about whatever, and they were talking about how health that guy took the what Pfizer paid him like $20 million or something
I
to,
don't know.
like to be like, took the COVID vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Why does
Okay.
Pfizer have 20 fucking million dollars to give one person?
Yeah.
Like that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Absolute bullshit. Oh my god. Like, oh, that made me like it's like I knew he would like work for Pfizer, and like this is why I can't know things. The more I know, I'm just like, no, no, I want to know less.
But part of
Less.
that, I mean, I know you don't like it, but so if you go back through time, Taylor Swift has been a very influential person for a very long time. She would not talk about her politics at all. She wouldn't. And part of it is
No,
because it
and
made her a target, but she dated Tom Hiddleston and he convinced her, you've got to say something. So
yeah.
now she's dating Travis and she convinced him, you got to say something. So as far as I'm concerned, let's keep the good celebrity energy going around. Like, if they can all convince the dumb people to do stuff that's in their own interest, like, huzzah.
Yeah, no, I mean, yes, I understand that. I'm not like that. Yes, that's fine. I mean, I know that she does her politics and whatever, but
Hey, late stage capitalism, it's the worst. We're having a really good Galentine's episode, being best
cut all
friends.
this up.
So, unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot to say about the two shows we watched, but is there one that you would prefer to start with?
I got more into Punky Brewster. I don't know if I necessarily have a lot to say as far as Galentine's goes, like from a gal pal perspective.
What
But
do you remember about Punky Brewster?
what do I remember about Punky Brewster? I remembered. Oh, I remember. Well, I remember like a few specific episodes. So I remember that Margot, Cherry, and Alan were her friends. I remember the pigtails and that none of her clothes matched. I remember the episode about Cherry getting stuck in the fridge. And actually, 2 weeks ago, before we suggested this, Elliot was like trying to get me to like he was like, there was an empty plastic bin or something, and he was trying to get us to like put him in it and then put the lid on.
No.
And I was like, no, Punky Brewster, I'm not going to do that. And Ben laughed. So I remember the episode where Cherry got stuck in the fridge, and then like they had to give her CPR. I remember the episode where she got a crush on some older guy, and his favorite color was orange, so she finally dressed in all one color, but it was orange. Um, I remember the really scary 2-part episode in the cave. Like
Oh,
I remember loving that show, but that episode, but it scared the shit out of me.
yeah.
I remember when Henry like had something happen to him and he went to the hospital and she got adopted by the rich people and was trying to eat like oysters or something. And I remember an episode where Henry tried to teach the Mrs. Johnson, the grandma, how to drive with a can of succotash. So now every time I hear the word succotash in my life since childhood, I've thought of Punky Brewster because that was the first time I ever heard of succotash. And I've never eaten succotash.
I remember a Longhorn Cadillac, maybe? Was that in it?
Yeah, no, that's when Mrs. Johnson got that car and he was trying to teach her how to drive.
Okay, I remember
Yeah.
the Longhorn Cadillac, colorful clothing, that Cherry was her best friend, and the fridge episode. The end.
Can I just say, I really feel like this was a very depressing, heavy premise for like, I mean, are we calling this a sitcom?
It's a
I
sitcom.
mean, I feel like it's a sitcom. So it's like this 7-year-old girl whose mother abandons her at a grocery store
Yeah.
and is just like living in an apartment by her. Like, it's a really, like, I don't think that you would be able to make this show now.
It wouldn't be a straight up comedy for sure. Yeah.
No.
But actually, since we
I,
started watching these little sitcoms, I've really been thinking about how hard it would be to write a sitcom now, you know?
yeah.
And that then I was watching a show, I don't remember the name of it, but it was on Netflix, and it's about a guy who is like a sober coach. I mean, it's like AA, but it's not AA because they can't say AA or whatever. And he's just an asshole. But it's like they use the sitcom premise, but they subvert it. So like his sponsor, he lives with his sponsor, and his sponsor is secretly drinking. Well, the sponsor hides a bottle in the toilet, and this young privileged girl who's really sad and is all on all kinds of drugs and everything, um, has moved in with them, and she's trying to get clean, and then he's like, what's wrong with the toilet? And he finds the bottle and like confronts the sponsor. And it's one of those like it's like an ultimate like sitcom, like who ate the brownies, like you ate these brownies or whatever. But it was like whose bottle is this? And it was just like, I don't know, it's so weird. Like I feel like the straightforward sitcom is not, it's, I don't know, it's like, okay, The Big Bang Theory was one of the last ones that really
Yeah.
had commercial. And I guess now How I Met Your Father, I don't know how well it's doing, but it's out there after How I Met Your Mother, which was
Yeah. Well,
so,
Modern Family.
yeah, Modern Family did really well. I guess that works. But it's kind of like it got replaced by the office type situation comedy where it's a little more, it's like you have to have a ton of people to try to hold it up. Like
Yeah.
the family based, I don't know. Anyway, I just was thinking about how hard it would be to write. Like I don't even know what, if I could pitch a premise where I'm like, here's this just straight up haha situation comedy. Like, but yeah, I did
Yeah.
think like, were they trying to pitch a different show? Like, was there supposed to be she was going to grow up and become a detective and figure out like what happened to her mom? Like, why did it have to be that hardcore? Like, it didn't,
It was like coming in hot. And I love that you're like, watch the pilot. I was like, the pilot's 3 episodes long. I was like,
Oh,
okay.
oh, did you? I only watched the first one.
Oh, girl, I went down a whole, I watched so many episodes.
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
watched like the first three, and then I watched another one, like a later one where I tried to find one that was like about the kids to try to do a
Yeah.
Galentine's one. And then I even watched the first 2 episodes of the reboot from 2021.
Wow. You went hardcore.
Yes.
Was she a
That I
detective
didn't
trying to
even,
find her mom?
no, she's a photographer, but like she lives in the same apartment. Like
Oh,
it's the same apartment. I mean, but it's changed.
yeah.
And she's got 3 kids. Sherry's in it, the same actress who played Cherry's like still. So I'm glad I watched it because that had more of a Galentine's,
Yeah.
gal pal vibe because she's just gotten divorced from her husband, played by Freddie Prinze Jr.
Okay.
This only lasted 1 season. It's not that bad. I don't know if it gets worse, but like at the end of the first episode, her mom calls her just randomly.
Oh, wow.
So they really try to hook you in, like, because I'm like kind of like wanting to continue watching it to like see, because that's the question. Like you like going back and watching the, I'm like who does that?
Yeah.
Like as a parent now, like I mean, like how could you? Like I understand, like and so like in the new season, she says something because it's like it starts with like this little girl, like so she's got one daughter that I think is like her like biological, and then she's got 2 sons that she adopted. And then Cherry is now a social worker working at that same like place that she ended up at, Finster Hall or whatever, when in the first episode. And so she's like, there's this little girl. She reminds me of you. Can you keep her for a few days? And so, of course, she ends up adopting her as well, or fostering her as well. But she's talking to her, and she said that she's like telling the story about how, like, you know, like sometimes, in order to save a child, a parent has to give them up, right? So it's like, we know it's like, but it's like there's a difference between giving up your child to the proper people and authorities who can take care of them and leaving a 7-year-old at a goddamn grocery store.
But
I mean,
as a
I don't
person
even think
who has suffered from mental illness, if not severe or crippling mental illness, I mean, I think it's hard for any of us to imagine doing that to a child, but I think it's easy for us to imagine getting to a place in our lives where we feel like anything would be better. Somebody else will be a better parent. Anybody.
Yes. That frame of mind I can understand, and like I can get there. But like sort of being just so like,
well,
like,
there's also like, okay, now you've watched this future episode where she calls, like she could have been murdered. We don't know from the original Punky Brewster.
I know mom could have been, I mean, yes, like there's definitely, yes. So yeah, and Cherry's really good in that one because she's like, it's like, I guess Punky Brewster's like, I'll call you back. Like, doesn't, like, she's like, it's been fucking 40 years, right?
Right.
35, 36 years. And so Cherry's like, give me her number. I have words I can say to her. Because the only excuse I'm accepting is abducted by aliens.
I was upset because there were a lot of fat jokes, and so I knew you were going to be mad about that.
Yes, there were.
I also wondered how we survived the 80s with all these fat jokes. Like, it's a lot.
I mean, she called Cherry fat butt. Like, that child is tiny.
Yep.
And even Mrs. Johnson's not that big. Like, I mean, they did subside. So, like, the first episode had a lot of fat jokes, and then there weren't any more that I noticed in the later episodes that I watched.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the one where it was like season 1, episode 9, where all the girls enter a pageant, like Little Miss Adorable pageant.
Oh God.
That's being hosted by Barry Gibb.
Mm-hmm.
Who I didn't know who that was, so I had to look it up.
Oh, you should watch Saturday Night Live more.
No, Andy Gibb, not Barry Gibb, Andy Gibb. But yes, one of the Bee Gees. He was lovely. So that was fun. But that episode started with them having a slumber party. So I was gonna ask, slumber parties. How did you feel? Did you enjoy slumber parties as a child? That to me is the ultimate like start of a Galentine's.
Yeah. I think I'm an introvert, so ultimately it was better when it was just like a best friend or a couple of people. But I remember definitely having one. And I mean, I remember that like the first one that I remember having was on Mohican, and the girl that fell asleep first woke up last. And I don't know, it was kind of fun, the idea of being able to like stay up late and watch movies. I remember there was one that we did, it might have been like a birthday slumber party, and we kept eating junk food and then getting on the scale. But
oh my God,
we kept losing weight. Like we would be like down a pound or whatever because it was some crazy bullshit Walmart scale that mom bought or whatever. It's like we probably broke that thing forever too. Sorry, mom. But we were like, how is this possible? We keep eating and we're losing weight. Like it doesn't make any sense.
God.
So that was fun. And then I remember in high school, we slept over at somebody's house and snuck out to meet boys, and the mom caught us and like, oh, she was so mad.
Well, I remember that.
So mad.
Because I remember our mom was real pissed. Because
Yeah.
didn't like she call all the parents? She had to come pick you up.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember in middle school going to somebody else's slumber party, and there was like a Ouija board. And then a couple of the girls got real into it. And later on, one of the girls said that she was dating someone that she was talking to. Like she was dating a ghost. Swear to God. Like, I love that for you.
We did a Ouija board one time, and I remember I was talking about before that I had been talking about how much I like polar bears. And so once they get into the Ouija board phase, somebody asked like, was anyone reincarnated or something? And somehow somebody like forced it to say that like I had been a polar bear in a past life or something. And I was like, you really think that's what ghosts? First of all, we're in Erica's house, which I'm pretty sure was actually haunted. And I don't think that the ghost in Erica's house is going to be talking about polar bear. Like this is just bullshit. So yeah. No. But that was in my like crystals, like, that like junior high, like witchy, like let's get into tarot and read Clive Barker and Edgar Allan Poe and Stephen King. And like, it was a very witchy horror time of my life.
Your hippie witchy horror phase.
Yes, my hippie witchy horror phase, where I dressed like I was in Nirvana.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember the like grunge part, but I don't remember the hippie witchy part. But
I've always been a complex person.
yeah, I was at a meeting the other night, and somehow people started talking about like ghosts at the high schools because it was like teachers from every high school,
Yeah.
and one of them was telling some real creepy ass stories about the oldest high school, like like lights going on and like the alarms going off and da 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 da. And the janitor calls the security company and they're like, "Hey, what's going on? Something, something." And they were like, "Yeah, but what about that guy on the bike behind you?" And I'm like, "Hey, like, what the fuck?" Start on a bike on the fourth floor of Lafayette High School. Like, what? You fucking, like, what? So stupid, but yeah, like,
Ghost
yeah.
stories. They're the best.
There was a couple that they were telling that, like, I was like,
Except
oh God.
there was one time where I went over to a girl's house we had like a school project. I was in elementary school. And so I like walked to her house after dinner to work on the project. And when I moved I had to go to the bathroom. And so I like went to go to the bathroom, and when I got to the back part of the house, and this like, it was like, because remember this is like the 80s, so like everything was dark, like everything was dark brown.
Yes. Yes.
So it was dark in
very
this hallway because it was
like the
wood
dark
paneling.
ages.
Yes, it was like wood paneling, and there were no lights, and it was dark, and it felt cold and creepy as fuck. So I don't know if there was just like trauma happening in that house and I could feel it, or if there was a ghost or what, but I couldn't even open the bathroom. Like I could not make myself open the bathroom door. I was that freaked out. And so I was like, I have to go home. And I just went home and never went back to her house. So
did y'all finish the project?
I don't know. I don't think it was worth it. I probably just did all the work myself.
And that's why no one likes group projects.
And that's why no one likes group projects. I still feel bad about it, but then I remembered that time that we snuck out of the other people's house and tried to call when an actual thing was happening, and they were like, we can't do anything unless the mom calls. So it was like, I knew bad things were happening in that house, but what can I'd be like, I don't know, I got a creepy feeling I couldn't use the bathroom. Also, I'm in 5th grade. Like and it's not like now where we know about it and know how to talk about it. Like, it was 1988 or whatever. Like, I didn't know what
I know. It wasn't just mom going, you can't walk past their house, you have to cross the street.
It's true. I did that to myself. I just never went back to that girl's house. So, hey, girl,
there was one.
Hope you're okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I remember 10. Your name.
Nope.
But
yep.
I remember you had a brother. Sorry. Yeah. There was one scene in the reboot of Punky Brewster I was watching where the older daughter, like her and Jerry, are doing something, and they like makes the daughter mad, and she goes, So what was it like in the 80s? Like, like fuck you.
Yeah. In both of the
I mean, it was
episodes,
kind of fun.
yeah,
It was just really fun to like watch the 80s version and then immediately watch something like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it really appealed to me and like my like nostalgia,
yeah,
you know, where does the story go? What happens next? Kind of like it's highly likely that I will watch more of both.
yeah.
So.
Did she sing Maniac in the reboot?
Yes, she did.
Good. She sang it
And
in
the
two
second
different episodes.
episode, yeah. In the second episode, her kids are being fucking spoiled ass brats. So she's like, all right, we're going to go spend the night in the car. And she's like, car karaoke, anyone? And she starts singing Maniac.
That's cute.
Yeah, there was a lot of throwbacks. So a
Did
lot of throwbacks.
did we watch the cartoon version, which is described
Yes, I did.
as the adventures of Punky Brewster with her pet Glomer, who was a magical leprechaun
Yep.
gopher?
Yep. I definitely, Saturday morning cartoon, definitely watched that. 100%. Yep. 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 I don't remember much about it. I didn't remember it until like I was researching the actor that played Henry
Hmm.
to like see, because I was like, is he British? What's with this accent? Finnish, actually. So, and it was saying that he, like, I was looking at other reviews and it said that he voiced Henry in the cartoon, and that's when I remembered. And then, like, at the end of, I think maybe the third episode, they had like a screenshot from the cartoon. I was like, oh,
Okay.
okay, that started early. They were all in. People love this show.
Uh,
Um,
Miss Johnson's Splash Game is wild. I don't know if you could see it on whatever device you were watching, but it was like
yeah,
I felt like it was like three
yeah.
inches wide, like going across. I mean, that was a lot of blush. It kind of felt like, and I know sometimes on those makeup tutorials, people will do like lipstick on their cheeks instead. It felt like maybe it was
Oh
that. I
my
don't know.
lord.
It's just like, what is happening, Miss Johnson? That's a
Oh no.
strong blush game. I don't know about that.
Yes.
But yeah,
So
there
what other
was.
episode did you watch? So
I
you watched the
watched
pilot and you watched what?
I watched Baby Buddies Incorporated, which was when for a month Punky and Sherry had been working on a dress for Miss Johnson for her birthday. And then they tried it on Sherry, who had pillows tied around her and stood on a chair to try to be more Miss Johnson's size. And it ended up having 4 armholes. It actually wasn't that bad. But they had spent all their money on the fabric and it took them a month to even do that. And so they were kind of like, it was cute because it was like they were working together to try to do something nice for Miss Johnson. But then they were like, well, we should just buy her a dress because we don't have time to make another one. Her birthday's this week. So then they come up with this scheme that they're going to do babysitting. And Henry is immediately like, no, you're not. You are babies. You are not going to watch other babies. Like, nope. And so then they're like, no, no, please. And so Miss Johnson agrees to she'll watch them watch the babies. And it ends up that they go to the park and they end up taking the wrong baby home. Ah! And somehow magically the right baby comes back, but it's all trauma. And then it ends real cute where they have 2 different birthday cakes for her. And immediately I was like, it's because they couldn't fit all the candles on one cake. And she's like, why are there 2 cakes? We couldn't fit all the candles on. And I was like, oh God. I hate it when I can guess every joke. Like if there could just be like one joke. And that was actually one of the things I liked about Laverne and Shirley was like sometimes there would be a joke in there that I couldn't guess. And so I was like, ah, that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were more fat jokes and they kind of had like a little fight, but then they worked together and I mean it was just cute. Like it's nice seeing them be like best friends and like taking care of each other and still fighting a little
Yeah.
bit, they weren't like we agree on everything, but
Yeah,
but
because you definitely fight with your friends when you were kids. Like,
yeah, well, I fight with my friends now sometimes, but well, not fight, but We definitely don't. I
Get
think as
your
you get older, it matters less that you don't agree on it. You're just like, yeah, well, you agree to disagree. Like,
well, and also like I think when you get older, you see each other so infrequently that you
yeah,
don't like
yeah.
have time to,
It's not
like you're
like,
just so happy to be talking to an adult that you don't work with
yeah. I was trying to
or
think
live with.
about how to set up like a an affinity group at work for caregivers, but make it kind of like the one where you and your friend go and like your kids play together and you just sit on your phones. Like I was like, maybe it could just be once a week and you don't have to show up, but you can just put it on your calendar. And if you want to show up, you can. Maybe it could just be like a Quaker meeting where we all just sit there and we're just quiet. And if somebody has to say something or wants to say
Yeah.
something, they can. But like, it's just like a silent
Well, have you seen like people trying
space.
to have like book clubs where you just go and read, but you're like with a group, but you're not talking. Everyone's just quietly reading.
Oh, you mean my dream
Or like,
social life?
I know, right? It's happening. Like it's a thing that people are doing. Like instead of let's all get together and talk about this book with
Yeah.
some bullshit questions, it's like let's all just sit here and read in silence
Well, it's kind
together.
of the same as like when we would do this adult coloring nights, but people always end up talking. That's the problem with people, she says as she
Well,
talks to her sister on a podcast.
my thing is though that I really like laughing. Like
Yeah.
that's what I enjoy about getting together with other people is that I want to like just
Yeah.
have that like laughter because I think it's rarer and rarer. So unfortunately that requires talking.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. What else you got on Punky
uh
Brewster, girl?
I think that's all I got on Punky Brewster show. It was good. I highly recommend it, I mean, the reboot, like I said, I don't know why it only lasted one season. Maybe because you can't watch it because Freddie Prinze Jr. is like 3 feet taller than Slave and Fry. So you'd be just so mad.
They get
She is
divorced.
so short.
Yeah, she's
But he's
tiny.
still like on the show and they're like standing. I mean, he's like literally 3 feet taller than her.
It's not literally 3 feet taller than her, but yeah.
It looks like he's 3 feet taller than her. He's at least 2 feet taller than her.
Yeah, I'm sure.
A foot and a half. But yeah, that's all I got on. With Laverne and Shirley, I don't know that I ever really watched this show that much, so I didn't remember very much. Obviously, I remember the Shemizel Shemazel Haas and Pfeffer Incorporated,
Yeah.
and that they worked at a bottle factory, and then they had the two friends, Squiggy and I don't remember the other one's name.
Lenny.
They lived in a basement apartment.
Yeah.
There was a guy named Carmine. That's all I really remember.
You remember more than I do. I got Best Friends, House and Pepper Incorporated, Happy Days spinoff, and Dweeby Dudes.
Yeah.
I was really interested.
So it is not. So I was like, that's what I was like. What year is it supposed to be?
Yeah.
Like I was always confused by that.
Yeah. So it's like Grease, where they made it in the 70s, but set it in the 50s. So you're like, the color palette is making me crazy. Like,
Yeah.
People did not wear this much orange and brown in the 50s. Like,
Yeah.
You have to stop. You can't find other colors. Like this is it. This is the only options you got. Like I don't believe you.
When I watched it as a kid, I definitely thought it was supposed like not set in the past, and like
right.
They were just stuck in the past. I don't know what I thought. Like watching Grease, I was like, oh, this is supposed to be the 50s. Watching Happy Days, oh, this is supposed to be the 50s because the song gave it away. But like Laverne and Shirley, I was like, I don't know. That's why I didn't like it or didn't watch it very much.
Well, it was definitely not a kids show. I mean,
no, it was not a kid show, but we also watched Cheers and all those other not kid shows. So.
Yes, we did. Yeah. I made some notes. So if the episodes that I had available to me were on Amazon or Roku, I don't remember which one I found it on.
I watched on Prime, so.
Okay, so but there was the pilot's not there. It's just like random episodes. which I assume is a
Yeah.
licensing thing. I guess they were, I don't know why, but that's fine. Um, I did watch, so did you watch the episode with the where they went on the double date? Like the first episode that
Yes.
was available? Okay, good. So we
Yes.
both watched that
Yes.
one. And
Yeah.
then I watched an episode from season 2 called Playing Hooky. Um,
I watched one where they try to become models from a later
oh,
from season 2.
okay, yeah. And then one of the things I was looking up, I'm gonna make myself white again. I apologize in advance. Because I was like, this is so frustrating because I feel like all they really ever do is like try to get guys, you know? And
Yeah.
the
Well,
whole song at the beginning is like, we're gonna make
our
our
way.
dreams come true. And yeah, and I'm like, like you just want to get married. Like what dreams? Like I
Yeah.
don't but then when I look on IMDb at the top rated episodes, it's a little better. Like it's like there's the first one, the firefighter, but like he's killed in an apartment blaze, so that's sad. Um
Oh, jeez.
yeah, and then there's one about getting Shirley gets passed over for a raise, and Laverne signs it with an insult. Then there's murder on the Moose Jaw Express. So they're on a train going to Canada, and they're in the middle of an espionage and murder. So that was like okay. And then the quiz show. So they go on a quiz show. So it's like obviously too the favorite episodes among fans aren't the ones where it's just the ones where they're trying to have dates.
Yeah. But
So
it's like, I'm going to try to say this without sounding judgy. But so the model one definitely was like, we're going to make our dreams come true and try to have like this amazing life. But then, like, it doesn't sound like any of those are ones where they're trying to do anything other than work in a bottle, like tapping beer bottles.
yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely it is a case of the theme song being to me nothing to do with what's happening on the show. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what I love about the 80s is that the theme song is like this is what's going to happen on this show and like this isn't what happened on the
Yeah.
show. Like, change
Well,
the
until
song.
later, yeah. So they do later on in like season 6, they do move to California.
Oh, okay.
Because I accidentally, so like when I started it, for some reason it like started on the last season and like the opening, and I was like, this isn't right. Like they weren't in California. Like, what is happening? I was
This
like,
isn't
oh,
Three's
okay, I'm not
Company.
on the
What's
right
going
scene.
on?
Yeah, right, yeah. So they apparently, I guess, later on they did actually try to make their dreams come true by moving um to California to break into the movies
Okay.
business. And their family and friends move with them, which is not a real thing that happens.
Nope.
Because you moved to California and I did not go with you.
You didn't. And then I was
Uh,
smart and I left California.
do you think the fact that they not only live together and are best friends, but sleep in the same bedroom might impact their ability to find? I mean, although we're saying finding a husband, finding a man, but that seems to be one of their main goals. Like that could make that harder.
Yeah, but I feel like that was more common. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's expensive to live on your own.
Also, it is the 50s. We
Yes.
also have to remember because in the episode, they're like basically the episode with the double date. They're both like, we're both virgins.
Yeah, and we're gonna die, and I don't want to die a virgin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sexual politics of this were very interesting. Like how often they're talking about like the playing hooky episode, they literally talk about human type favors. I mean, they put it into words of like trading kisses for other things, which that episode
Oh,
ended up being about undercover cops from Vice who were trying to bust them as prostitutes, which was pretty funny. But yeah, it, it was a little weird. I did very much like Fred Willard in the episode that we both watched. I was like, oh my
yes.
gosh, he's great. He was so fucking
Yeah.
annoying with that pinky ring. But
Oh
she
my
was like,
God.
he's knocking with the pinky ring. That was one of the ones where I was like, oh, that's good. Like,
Yeah.
um,
When she yelled at him to stop, I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that was good too. From a Galentine's Day perspective, I will say listen to your bestie when she hates your dude. Like,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, is that Fred Willard? Big ol'
Yeah.
nope to the clown art that they had. And then apparently her dad, I thought her dad had it in his house, but then I guess he was in their house. I don't know, I was confused. I wrote, what year is this? Then I was excited to realize that Michael McKean played Lenny. It was like, is that? Oh, wow. That's Michael McKean.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. And then I made a note in playing hooky, they need to lock their door because it was like the morning and they were deciding they were going to play hooky and they were in their robes and Squiggy just like walked in and was like, I'm going to give you the privilege of taking us to work. And I was like, what? Lock the door.
Yeah.
And then at one point they had that window open. And later in the episode, the vice cops like try to climb through the window. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, do not let these men in your house. They're trying to climb through your window. Like, these are not good dudes. Like, what is happening?
Like the street level windows?
Yes, yeah, with the bars.
Like, why would you ever open those?
They had them open.
Like,
they were like, it's a beautiful day.
Just street level garbage just coming in your house. Like fucking foot traffic, germs and dust and like no way.
It made me think of the Brothers episode, and I was like, just get a frying pan and smack them. Like, get out of our window. But yeah, no, that made me laugh. Yeah. But go ahead. I have a question for you, but I'm gonna wait until you tell me more things about Laverne and Shirley.
So the one I watched is they're like at the bowling alley. And there's like a model there and all the guys. So of course all the men are like ignoring them and because they're just like staring at this like half-dressed model. And she's like says something about, says they've got to pay her $60 an hour. So they're like $60 an hour, $60 an hour, $60. Like that's more than we make in a week tapping bottles. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like,
that's more than I make right now. In today money.
Not in a week though, but they're making less than
$60 an hour is more than I make an hour right now. So like
no, I know. It's more than I make in an hour right now. Yes, that is a lot of money. Yes. Yes. Guaranteed, yes. That's almost more than twice I make an hour. But anyways, actually less if we actually look at how many hours I work. But anyway.
That doesn't sound like girl math.
That's fucking teacher math.
That's teacher math.
Yeah. So I have to explain to the kids, they're like, what do you mean y'all don't get paid a lot? And I was like, no, like my salary's a lot, but when you look at how many hours, no, that's not girl math. Ben was talking to me about girl math the other day. I was like, how do you know about girl math, but you don't know who Harry Styles is? Like, get out of my face. But anyways, I digress. So they're like, we need to be models. So they open up like an ad and like the back of a magazine where it's like model by mail, and you just send $15 and you get this kit with all these creams and learn how to be a model. And they end up like Carmine's girlfriend is selling lingerie, so it's like one of those like lingerie selling parties, like Tupperware. Mm-hmm. So they model the lingerie and get these rich women to come over. And there's like this is one where I didn't see coming, where it's like. And he's like got this like bongo drums that he's playing while they model, which was like very unexpected. But then there's one where it's like, oh, this one's good. And it's Laverne, and she's wearing like this like leopard print kind of like Jane of the Jungle thing, and she comes swinging in on a rope. So, which then comes back at the end. So then, so they go to the modeling agency and they get passed over, and Shirley's like, like all sad, and Laverne's like, whatever, so they don't become models, and then in the end, like Laverne swings into her bed in the like leopard print thing, so with her shoes on, which was weird. And then it was also that's how I realized they sleep in the same bedroom. So, because you and I have lived together many a times, and we have never shared a bedroom. So,
not since we were children.
Yes. Yeah. So,
and that was by choice. Yes. Mom and Dad were nice. They always made sure we had our own bedrooms.
Yes, that was very kind.
But we do the playroom the combined playroom, combined bedroom
Yeah. And
until we got
then
sick of each
we'd
other.
fight, and then
Then we'd
someone
switch.
would have to move bedrooms. And then we would trade bedrooms. Like, I'd be like, I want a smaller room because it'll be easier to keep clean. And that was not true.
That's not
So we
true.
traded bedrooms
We had a lot of
one day.
bedroom shenanigans. What else were we gonna do? There was no internet. Um,
That was
yeah.
one thing. So on the new Punky Brewster, they're like up in the treehouse. They're like, "What is this?" And they're like, "Oh, my mom and her friends built it back, because there wasn't any internet, so there was nothing to do."
100%. So I just wondered, since so much of Laverne and Shirley revolved around them getting dates and having dates and finding men and whatever,
Mm,
if you think our life, based on, I feel like it's different now, but when we were coming up, there was
uh,
very much a level of fat phobia that permeated like 90+% of the American population,
yeah,
right? Where like if you weren't thin, you didn't get hit on, you know?
yeah.
So like I just wonder, do you think our life would be different? Like how would our life be different if we were like conventionally thin?
I feel like we would be a lot less funny.
Why?
I don't know, because hard shit makes you funny.
I don't know that that's true, but that's all
And I
right.
feel like what I've gotten in trouble for saying this before, but I feel like in my experience, people who are classically like very good looking tend to be very boring because they never have to try very hard to like be interesting. No one expects them to be interesting. It's like, oh, you're beautiful and pretty to look at, so I don't need you to be smart or funny or interesting or whatever.
Yeah.
In my experience, I'm not saying that that's like true of life. I will say that I do feel like it would make it like I would feel so like right now when I try to socialize with other people my age, it's still very difficult because I don't feel like I have a lot of the shared experiences.
Right.
So I do feel like that would be easier, right? So it's just like, and some of it obviously I put in my head or whatever, or walls I put up, but it's like the sorority life, like, nope. You
Yeah.
don't understand, can't relate, no experience, didn't live in a dorm, you know, um, haven't dated a whole lot of people, so my like romantic and sexual experience is not like quote unquote normal. Um, and like even now, like romantic and whatever relationship is still very different. But yeah, I mean, you and I, at like the height of our like kind of single being besties, going out, living life, having fun, we weren't dating. Like we talked about guys and like maybe like tried to help each other, but neither of us actually dated anyone. Like there were no actual double dates or,
No.
boyfriends or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um,
I've never been set up on a blind date. I've never been asked on a double date. Like, these are not experiences I have ever had.
yeah. Okay. I was set up on a date once, but it wasn't like blind. I remember people like mentioning to me like someone that they thought, and then like nothing ever came of it. But yeah, like it's never been like, yeah, like even as an adult, I haven't gone on like a double date with like partners, like we almost did, but then like I think a couple of weeks ago we were supposed to go somewhere with Megan and Troy, but it was like a Monday and it was raining and it was going to be crowded, and we were all just like, nah,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Um,
I just think it's interesting because
yeah,
I feel like I wasted so much of my youth just kind of being obsessed about guys and wanting to have relationships and wanting to like have that dating experience and never having it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then anytime I did, it was always disappointing. So I don't know what the hell I was looking for because like it was like I don't like this has never
Yeah.
been worth it. Like there's never been a time where I'm like, this was worth it. Like never, never. And so I think like I don't know that it matters for me. Like I think I could have been rail thin and like I probably would have had more guys ask me out, but I wouldn't have wanted to date them. Like, I don't think I would have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I
Yeah.
remember like in grad school, our professor saying that he felt like he had been on over, I don't know, something like over 300 first dates or something like that. And I was like, why? Like, you need a whole date to figure out that the person's not that great? Like, didn't it take
Okay.
like five
Well,
minutes? Like,
so here's the thing. Because, like, actually, this week, I don't know how, but some of my students were talking about dating, and like, they start talking, and they forget that I can hear them.
mhm.
So then they'll like look over at me, and I'm like making a face about something. And one of them asked me, they were like, "What's the worst first date you've ever been on?" So there's like a moment of me going, "Is this an appropriate conversation for me to have?" And it's like, I mean, sure, it's fine. Because I'm not gonna like get too detailed, but
Sure.
like I can
Yeah.
tell them a funny story. I said, well, here's the thing. So I started the premise. It was like, I have been on a lot of first dates. And the reason that I have been on a lot of first dates is because I find people fascinating.
Yeah.
And I love a story. So like even if I know or have an inkling that this is not gonna go well, or I don't like this person, I would go anyways just for like the story and the experience, just to be like, well, let's see what happens, Like, so I saw like the guy that I ran errands with on a first date,
Yeah.
who showed up in like a like not at all dressed up for like a date or in any way to try to impress me in any way, like
Uh-huh.
and like all the times where I'm like texting people like, come and save me, like like the time where I texted Emily like, come save me, and then like abandoned the guy, and then he texted me about a second date, and I was like, no thank you, and he goes, well, what about your friend, like, would she be interested, like, dude, no sir. So it was fun to like, and so I was just trying to think, because a lot of it was so long ago that I have forgotten a lot of it. There was also a lot of alcohol involved in all of it too. So yeah, so like, yes, there were definitely times I went out with people knowing that it wasn't going to go anywhere, but just like, what else am I going to do?
Stay home and read.
Which is why how you and I are different. Like now, I would be like, I'm just going to stay home and read, but
Yeah.
Rumspringa, Ryan, my 5-year Rumspringa or 5 to 6 year Rumspringa I went on.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
was yeah, staying home and reading was not something I wanted to do. But I think that that's like part of it is that like I think that there like, and that feeds into why I went on that Rumspringa, is because like until then I felt like I was missing out on this huge important part of life, right?
Yeah.
That like, you know, like I can remember having a conversation as an adult, like in graduate with Kyle and Heather about like, this is gonna sound so dumb. I don't remember how we got here, but about like an octopus giving someone a hand.
Was this a real story?
Yes, this is a real story.
Okay.
But we were talking about like an octopus and masturbating or something, but like I didn't know how penises worked because I had never touched a penis at
Oh.
that point in my life. So like I thought that if an octopus with its like suction cups would have to be like like, because I didn't understand that you could just like hold on and then like that the things move, you know what I mean? Like I didn't understand how that worked. Like I
Brian,
thought your hand was moving, but all of like a penis stays in
what do you
place.
think I
And
was reading all that time? Because I definitely knew how all that worked.
I was reading romance novels too, but I didn't understand that like the skin on the outside of the penis moves. Like I literally, because you hear about like lube and like, and I had watched porn. I don't know. Like I don't know why I was like, well, I don't think that would work very well because it would have to be like, and then like reattach,
I'm gonna say
and then
you didn't understand the mechanics of an octopus. I think that's the real problem. I don't think it was ignorance of male
what?
anatomy. I don't.
Because your hand, like an octopus hand,
Nope.
wouldn't just
First of
move
all,
up and down.
nope. Nope.
Like assuming, okay, so like
The-
assuming that,
I refuse
like
to
this is
participate.
how I thought it worked. That the
No.
only thing moving was a hand, and
I
nothing about the.
no longer wish to participate in this conversation.
Okay. But still, so yeah, so things like that, like as an adult having these conversations and just not knowing because you hadn't experienced certain things.
Yes. That's
Yeah. Are you going to cut all that out?
I mean, I'm really upset about the octopus because it just why? Like,
I don't remember.
there's no
how it
good
was.
reason why that would happen. Like, I don't. It
I
doesn't.
don't know how we got there. I don't know if it's because she had her pentapus painting that she made, and like I don't know.
Just
I don't know.
I don't like it. I don't like animal exploitation.
Oh my god, it was just like I don't know.
That's why it's not worth talking about. So, I did feel after watching these that I wanted a little more bestie energy. So I made the mistake of watching Bottoms, which is a comedy that came out last year. And there are parts of it that are really, really funny. It was co-produced by Elizabeth Banks. So I should have known because, like, theoretically, I like Elizabeth Banks, but aesthetically, I don't enjoy her. Like, I don't like her brand of comedy. It's too aggressive.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And it's just insult humor is really all it is. So it's two best friends. They're both lesbians. They're in high school. It's senior year or whatever. They both have crushes on cheerleaders. They start a fight club, pretending like it's a self-defense club, but it's very much a fight club to try to help bond, but really it's just so that they can try to fuck the cheerleaders, right? Well, the main quarterback is played by Nicholas Galentine, and he is absolute perfection, completely steals the movie. Like, he is like so very gay while trying to be this very, like this archetype of like the quarterback. The level of violence that this gets to is very interesting. Like, it was, I don't know. There were parts of it that I found very, very funny. But since most of it was insult-based humor, I'm not a huge, huge fan. But it was interesting to see them like sort of go through, like they're at the bottom of the social ladder and then they move up and then, things happen and they break apart and then they like have to come back together to save the quarterback. So I don't know that I'm glad I didn't see it in the movie theater. But then I was like, okay, that's not good. I need better bestie energy. So then at that point, I just started flipping through Netflix and I realized I had never watched the last season of Sex Education. So I was like, oh, I'll watch that. Because Eric and Otis are like the best bestie. Like, Palentine's Day all over the place. Like, so then I got to watch that and Eric was like defending Otis and it was so sweet and I was like, okay, this solves my problem.
That's what you needed.
Yeah, that was enough to be like, okay, I feel like I got the like bestie energy I wanted for a Galentine's entertainment situation. All right, thank you. That's it for this episode of I Love You But. Join us next week when we discuss Uncle Buck, the first of a series of birthday-themed episode in anticipation of our first anniversary. Yay! Woo! Hopefully we made you laugh Maybe we made you cringe. What did we forget? What should we talk about in future episodes? We want to know your thoughts. Find us on Instagram and Threads at I Love You But Pod, or email us at I Love You But Pod at gmail.com. Listener email and comments may turn up in future episodes. Be sure to rate, review, and follow I Love You But wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening. I'm Heather.
I'm Ryan, and we wish you lots and lots of conditional